Solomon Islands.
Wow, nice. Okay, I'm ready when you're ready.
Okay.
Let's see.
Do you need me mic'd up or no?
You? I think no. Man.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. We are
It's not gonna be
rolling. Bum,
Okay.
ba-da-da-bum. Sorry.
Okay, Judy. Tell me about your husband.
My husband was a very caring, compassionate person. He loved life. He loved people. He'd do anything to help people. The inventions that he made were all for people because of a need. People loved him. You know, he was just very good-hearted. He was a good provider. We were married 40 years. And they were good years. You know, a lot of people say, well, I was married 20 years, or we were together 40 years, or whatever. Like Susie on the show this morning I watched, she's married 37 years. And she said there were good years. And so I was lucky. I had 40 good years with a good man.
How did you guys meet?
I was actually working in a restaurant as a waitress to pay for my schooling. And he used to come in there every day for lunch. It was at a little Maryland Fried Chicken in Orlando, Florida. And he came in, I used to think he was so arrogant, and he never tipped. And I thought, this guy's a jerk. And one of the other waitresses was dating a guy, because my husband owned a radiator shop, and she was dating one of the guys that worked for my husband. And she said, you know, let's go to Saturday night, we're going to go out, I'll get you a blind date. I said, I'm not that ugly, I don't need a blind date. She says, no, seriously. So when they showed up, it was him, and I thought, oh no, I gotta spend the whole night with this guy. He was the sweetest could be, and we were together ever since that night. So that's how we met.
So was that the first date?
That was our first date. We went to the race car, or the stock car races in Tampa, Florida.
So you were pretty impressed
I was.
initially.
I was. And he always played the song The Great Pretender by the Platters on the jukebox. Every time he'd come in, that was the first song that he would play. And so I thought, well, he must be lonely, he must be hurting, and that's why he was so arrogant. But, yeah, he was just a wonderful person.
And tell me about that courtship over the years, how it developed.
I had been married before, and I had both my children from a previous marriage. On our first real date that he asked me out to the drive-in movie so we could take the kids. So I was impressed, but yet I was skeptical because I thought, okay, he's just doing this to impress me, take the children along. But he fell in love with my children, and till this day, my children, he's their dad, he's their father. You know, and over the years, he was so good with them. He was a teacher, and he was a friend to them.
So he was a good and smart man, too.
Yes, he was. He is. He's left a wonderful legacy for his children and his grandchildren.
So how hard has it been for you? Because he passed, when did he pass?
July 13th. Friday the 13th, no less. Bob had been sick since 2007, and he stayed in chronic kidney failure. He had bladder cancer, congestive heart failure. And so I basically was his caregiver for the last 5 years. And in the back of your mind, you keep telling yourself, you know that this is going to happen. You try to prepare yourself, but there isn't any preparing. My husband and I did not want to be kept alive on machines. And when he came back from his second back surgery, his heart failed. And I knew it wasn't going to be much longer that I was going to lose him. And all of the family was there at the ICU with me at North Hills Hospital. And I called his brother because they were very close. He lived in Florida. Well, my husband kept taking his oxygen mask off. And at one point I told him, I said, honey, if you keep taking this oxygen mask off, you're going to die. And he said, I know, and shook his head. And I told him that his brother was on his way, and that Jack needed to be able to tell him goodbye. And if he could just wait. And I promised him that if he would just wait till Jack got there, I wouldn't make then his heart, the left side was only pumping less than 15%. And so they started an IV medication to keep his heart pumping, which I knew he didn't want. But I told him that's what they were doing, and it was just waiting for Jack. And when my brother-in-law arrived, it wasn't 10 minutes later that my husband took the oxygen mask off again. And I told him that I would be okay, that it was okay, the kids would take care of me. And I promised you I wouldn't put it back on. So I said, do you want it on? And he shook his head no. So I didn't put it back on. And I laid on his chest, and he patted my back. And I told him to stop the IV, and they did. And within a few minutes, he was gone. The realization of them being gone still hasn't hit me. You know, it's almost 3 months, and I still just can't picture that he's gone. It was very rough, very hard. It's still very hard. We probably spent 90% of our life at the ocean. We love the ocean. We love the beach. And 2 weeks after he passed away, my daughter and her family and my niece and her family had already had plans. They leased a house in Galveston on the beach. And they wanted me to go with them. I was reluctant because I didn't want to go to the beach yet, but I went. And the very first day that I went to the beach, Lynn, I swam out as far as I could swim into the ocean. And I kept begging him to come get me, to take me with him, that I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be without him. Because you become one. I felt like I had lost me, too, that night. That I was just a shell walking around. I asked him to give me a sign, to pat my back, to hug me, to do something. And I felt a calmness. I don't know if it's because I was in the ocean or what it was, but it was like, it was okay. And then for several weeks, I'd sit here and I'd beg him, please take me with him. I didn't think of suicide in the auspices of how could I kill myself, how could I be with him. I just wanted him to come get me. I wanted to be with him. And I really didn't have a purpose. I mean, I have 6 grandchildren. I have 4 great-grandchildren, 2 children, and they've all surrounded me and supported me. But at night, when everybody goes home and they shut their day down, your day shuts down too, and that's when it's hard. So you have to find a purpose, something else to focus on. I was lucky because I met Tim Phillips, who's with North Texas Assisted Living Foundation. And their focus is to educate people on healthcare, different diagnoses, on the stages of grieving that you go through after a death. And it's provided a purpose for me to help me feel like I'm doing something, because I feel strongly people need to be educated. You know, I asked a lot of questions, and I know there were things that were done for my husband that would not have been done if I hadn't spent 21 years in healthcare myself. But most people don't know what to ask, or they're afraid to ask, you know. So they keep it bottled up when they need to know, they need to be educated on what resources are available, where they can turn.
So you felt like you wanted to die?
Yeah, I didn't want to be here.
Tell
I
me
wanted to
about
be
that.
with him. We were so close. My husband and I never had a fight in 40 years. Never. I know there were times he wanted to gag me and put me in the closet, and there were times I wanted to do the same to him. But I've always had this thing, when I get angry, I go, and he would know, then he's like, okay, and he'd go out in his shop and he'd work, or he'd go do something. If I was upset with him, I'd go out and work in my palm garden, work in my rose garden, because you say things when you're angry that you can't take back. And see, so when we were calmed down, then we would sit and we would discuss things. And people don't believe that. They say, how can you not fight? Well, I mean, you're still fighting in a way, but you're discussing it and you're getting resolution to whatever the issue was.
So, I think I remember you saying it was as recently as last week that you contemplated. Tell me about that day.
You know, some days are good days, but then there's days that you might look at a picture or a knick-knack or at his chair, and it just upsets you all over again. And you want him there, and if he can't be there, then you want to be with him. But I kept saying, no, I need to move on. I need to focus. I need to find something to do with my life. So I'm only 60 years old. I still have a lot that I can do. So it's a matter of convincing yourself that you still have a purpose here. I don't think if I didn't have a purpose here, then I'd be gone.
What day? Do you remember one day? Is there one day that stands out that's been far worse than all the others? That you just said, I have to die.
That was the day I went to the beach. I went to Galveston. I wanted to drown, even though I'm a swimmer. I kept thinking, how could I drown? I was hoping the undertow would take me. I know how to get out of the undertow, but I wouldn't have fought it. I mean, I'd have fought the undertow. I wouldn't have swam with it. I wanted to die that day. I didn't want to walk back out on the beach. I just wanted to be gone with him. But then you have to realize, too, that even had I done that day, there's no guarantee I'd be with him. You know, nothing guarantees us in life that we're going to get exactly what we want. So that was probably my worst day.
There are a lot of people out there who are going through the very thing that you have been experiencing. And a lot of people do actually carry out suicide and or contemplate it at least.
Mm-hmm.
What advice could you offer to those people who are going through something very similar or who may be depressed as a result of something else completely different?
The best advice I could give them will be to surround themselves with people, with friends, people that they care about. A good friend of mine told me a story of a time that he was really down and out and upset, depressed. And his mother told him, when you feel that way, go do something for somebody and it makes you feel better. And I said, what a smart, wise woman. Because if you think about it, you can allow yourself to get worse and worse and worse and get to that point where you want to take those pills, you want to slit your wrists, you want to take your life. But there's other people out there that are needy, and there's things that we can help them with. So go help somebody else, but surround yourself with people. My daughter texts me every night and says, night, night, Mama, I love you. She didn't do that before my husband passed. And it means so much. It helps me to feel so much better at the end of the day, because I know in her mind, she expects me to be there that next morning. So surround yourself with people, get busy, do something, find something you like to do, maybe something you've always wanted to do and you couldn't or you didn't.
What about some of those, what about some baby boomers who don't have those resources, or who may say, I don't have that resource, I don't want to reach out to anyone, I don't want anyone to know that I am feeling this way? What can you offer their family members? What warning signs should they look for?
One of the things that I started to do was I started giving things away right away. And everybody kept telling me, don't make major decisions, don't give things away. But they were personal items of mine, jewelry, things that before this I would have not given up. I would have kept it to the day I died. But I started giving them to my daughter, here, you take this, and my grandchildren, you take this, and you take that. And it's a sign, because typically they wouldn't get those things until you pass. So why are you giving those things up now? When they don't participate in anything. I mean, we have people here several different days, and I just sit in my chair. I don't want to be bothered. You know, just leave me alone. You know, go have fun. Go have the party. You know, but just leave me be.
So you isolated yourself.
You isolate yourself because you don't want to see the joy that they're having. They're having fun and you're hurting.
What are some of the other things that you kind of experienced?
I can't look at some of my husband's things, like his shoes. My daughter put them in a box and put them in the attic for me. His clothing, I was able to give some to my grandsons that I knew they could wear, but I can't get rid of anything else. You know, it's like I have to have that there, but yet it's very upsetting to look at it. I know that his walker and all of his medical equipment is in that attic. But the very first day I came home, he died on a Friday, and that Saturday, I asked the kids to get the hospital bed out, to get the patient lift out, to get any of the negative things out of the house. Because all I wanted to surround myself was the joyous things. When you look at that hospital bed, it's depressing. You look at that patient lift, you look at their walker. You know, so for me, I had to get it out of sight. I redid the entire bedroom. I had to change it because I wanted it to be more of a positive thing as opposed to a negative thing. I had experience with healthcare providers. That was very upsetting. My husband had broke his back, and we went to San Antonio to rehabilitation for spinal cord rehab. And he developed C. diff and MRSA, which are two very highly contagious excuse me, diseases, infections. And rehab wanted to discharge him because he was so sick he would not be able to make progress. And the case manager at the rehab kept telling me I couldn't bring him home because Medicare wouldn't pay for anything if I brought him home, that he had to go to a nursing home. Fortunately, I had my healthcare background. And I told her, I said, no, I said, Medicare will pay for the medications. They won't pay for the supplies, but they'll pay the medications and they'll pay for the nurse. And she argued with me for 3 days till I finally showed her the regulations stating that Medicare would pay. I was fortunate, Lynn. I knew that. A lot of people out there don't know that. So if they're told that they need to do this for their loved one, they need to say, wait a minute, what are my alternatives? What else can I do? My husband wanted to come home. He didn't want to go to a nursing home. So you fight for what they want.
Absolutely. Do you think your depression is starting to subside?
You know, I thought it was a few days ago, but then a wave came back again. My heart is broke. It's torn. You know, there's days that I can keep myself busy and I don't think as much about it. My grandson moved in with me 2 weeks ago, and that's helped because now I have somebody here in the evenings with me. Even if I don't see him, even if he comes right home from school and goes to his room, it's just the presence of him being in the house. Somebody here with me. And he was my husband's boy. I mean, my husband idolized him. And he shared with me the other day, which kind of surprised me. You would think when you spend a lot of years in healthcare working with people and families that you would know these things, but you don't. He told me that not only did he lose his papa, but he lost his father figure. because ever since he was tiny, my husband was always showing him, this is how you hammer a nail, this is how you do this is how you do that. And he told me that the times that he spent at the hospital with me over the years when my husband was sick, he said he would cry not just for his papa, but for me. And I asked him, why for me? I mean, the first time he was like 12 years old. And he says, Nanny, it would upset me to see you so upset because I know how much you love Papa. And he said, I couldn't do anything. There's nothing I could do. And I never thought about that. I never thought about the children and the different ways that it impacts them. You know, not just seeing Papa sick, but to also see how it's affecting their nanny and the other people around them.
So would you say the depression started way before his death or right after?
I would say probably the day after. As a caregiver, especially when you are a total caregiver, you're so engulfed in things that you have to do, that you need to do. You know, from making his doctor's appointments, to taking him to his doctor's appointments, to make sure he's taking his medication. I mean, everything that goes along with being that caregiver, you're very needed. And then when that need is gone, you feel useless. And that's when the depression sets in, is because you've just lost somebody that you loved for no matter how many years, and now they don't need you anymore. And I went through a stage where I kept saying, it was my fault. I should have done something else. I should have known another resource. I should have known about another medication. Maybe if I would have taken him to this doctor, maybe if I'd have done this. But then you have to come to the realization that you did everything you did. I got upset with myself because after his back was broke, he was a paraplegic. And when I was trying to dress him one day, I got so aggravated because I couldn't get his clothing on, I couldn't get his socks on, and I was aggravated at him. And then I got upset with myself and got extremely depressed over it. But then I realized that it's okay to be angry. It's okay to get frustrated. We're human. We're going to do that. We just have to get past it.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Have you had to take any sort of medication, antidepressants?
Yes. Yes. In fact, even before my husband passed, that night at the hospital, my daughter called my doctor, and my doctor was also my husband's doctor, my primary doctor, and of course he knew what was happening, and so he called in Xanax. And the next day, my sister actually went to the pharmacy and picked it up before I ever even got home. And see, so, and the days that I don't take that Xanax, I can tell a difference. So my doctor monitors it very closely. Because it would be easy to say one day, why don't I just take all of them? You know, and just end it right then and there. And that's why it's so important to find something for you, to get the inner strength to say, no, I have to go on. You know, there's a reason for me still being here. Even if I don't know what it is yet, there's a reason.
That is the last soundbite. But I think I have one more question. Just one more.
Okay.
Because I was waiting for her to give me that last one.
Which one?
And that's what it was. Okay, but I do have one more question.
Okay.
If you could say anything to your husband right now, if he was watching this some kind of way, his spirit was here, and if you could say anything to him right now, what would you say?
Thank you. Thank you for the 40 years. For a good life. You know, the children, the grandkids. We had wonderful times. We traveled. We went places. We were best friends. You know, we weren't just husband and wife. So I would say thank you. Thank you for pushing me. My goal when I met him was to be a manager of a Denny's restaurant. And And he kept telling me, no, you can do more than that. You can do more than that. And he didn't push me, but he supported me. Then I climbed the ladder. I was the vice president of a company that had 127 outpatient divisions nationwide. So I got past being a manager of a restaurant, but I have him to thank for that.
Okay. Anything else? What we'll do now, that was a perfect interview. And I thank you so much for allowing us in your home to even do it.
Oh no, that's fine. When Linda told me what you were doing, and I said, I know a lot of people are suicidal.
Yeah. And so many people out there going through the same sort of thing that you are going through. And most of our viewership is baby boomers. We have a lot of baby boomers who tune in. So, it's a growing problem. Suicide is a growing problem along that demographic. And so we definitely want to help those people because we want to let them know that there are options. You know, it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
So hopefully your story will encourage somebody else.
If it only touches one person,
That's enough.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because it is hard. It's hard not to want to just say,
Forget it.
yeah.
But you have to keep going.
No,
And then people say, oh, just cheer up. Just.
Oh yeah. Within a few days after he passed, people were asking me, "Are you going to sell a house?" No.
Really?
My husband put so much love into this home. Everything.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he did this entire living room because I wanted a cabin look. You know, he did my kitchen. He did my bedroom. I couldn't walk away from that. And people ask you that. Were you going to sell the house? Are you going to stay here? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do?
It's so much.
Yeah, and you're like, that's the least of your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
of selling your home, or because then you're really walking away and you can't run.
Yeah.
I mean, I even thought for the holidays, I thought, I don't want to be here because Christmas was so special to us. My home is like the centerpiece for our subdivision. Everything is decorated. But we did it together. And I thought, I'm going to leave. And I kept trying to think, where can I go? You know, where can I go where they don't celebrate Christmas? And I thought it didn't matter because even if I was somewhere they didn't celebrate Christmas, I'd still know it was December 25th in my mind. So you can't run and hide. You know, you just face it and go on.
Okay, so we're going to get you to show us some of the pictures. And,
Y'all stay right there for a second.
okay. Oh, is this what you wanted me to have?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, that talks about the mission of educating and
Yeah.
helping families.
Is that okay? Can you see this one shot real quick?
You want me out?
See, he was trying to be
Did
really
you
nice
get
to
the
me.
hint, Tim?
Yeah.